If you watch any film set or made in the UK before 1971, you might catch some very strange phrases relating to money.
Ah, you clever boy. Here's a shilling for you.
There'll be some change then.
Oh, crikey, I forgot. Oh, you're 2.11 3 farthings.
If I give you a farthing, you can give me 3 bob, right?
Oh, yeah.
10 shillings, sir.
Sorry, I got nothing smaller.
Thank you, you've been such a help. I'm still trying to figure out your money. Is that all right?
That's because for centuries, the UK and Ireland used a different system of money to the rest of the world. Whereas today you have the pound sterling, made up of 100 pence each, before there was a pound sterling made up of 20 shillings, and each shilling was worth 12 pence. In ancient times, a pound sterling comes from a pound of sterling, or silver, and a shilling, meaning the shaving off of bits of metal to make it easier to carry. So for hundreds of years, people living in Britain or its territories had to work with this convoluted system of base 12 and then base 20 and then base 10 way of handling money. The coins of this system were the farthing, the halfpenny, the penny, the threepence, the sixpence, the shilling, the florin, the half crown, the crown, the half sovereign, the pound. The groat, the angel, the Armani, the fine sovereign, the guinea, the Denique, the 3 farthing, the half groat. I made a couple of those up, see if you can guess which one. It's even worse if you lived in medieval Scotland, who had even more coins like the pistol, the dollar, the rial, the lion, the ducat, the merk, the unicorn, the bawbee, the bodle and the plaque. Those are all real names for coins in Scotland before the Union. Wales was the only sensible one of the 3 by just having 1 coin, the penny. Thankfully, by the Victorian era, most of these coins had gone out of fashion, and most people before then were so poor that they never actually saw half of those coins. But imagine being an accountant in the 17th century though. Have fun with that job. No, by the 1900s, only a handful of these coins were left. The halfpenny, which was half a penny, and sometimes called the halfpenny for short, making this word the longest one-syllable word in the world. It's pronounced hapths. The penny, self-explanatory. Threepence or thruppence, which is 3 pence. Sixpence, which was unsurprisingly 6 pence. The shilling, which was 12 pence. This was also known as the bob. The florin, which was 2 shillings or 24 pence. The half crown, 2 shillings and 6 pence. The crown, which was 5 shillings or a quarter of a pound. And the pound, 20 shillings or 240 pence. And although there wasn't a coin for it, there was also a guinea, which was just a more friendly way of saying £1 and 1 shilling. This was so shops could make it seem like the item only costed £1 when they were actually scamming you out of an extra 12 pence. Also, every single one of these coins had a ton of slang and nicknames, so an American or European moving to the UK or Ireland would not only have to learn this ridiculous counting method, but also all of the slang that goes with them. Let's say you're in the queue for the shop and you have 2 items. One costs £3, 16 shillings and 11 pence. The other costs £5, 15 shillings and 10 pence. Now, in the minute or 2 you'll be waiting in line, you'll need to work out in your head what is the total cost of both of my items and what is the minimum number of coins I can use to pay for it. You can pause the video to think about it in your own time, but here's how you'd work it out. 11 plus 10 is 21, and because there are 12 pennies in a shilling, that makes 1 shilling and 9 pence. So you carry the 1 shilling, adding up the shillings to make 32. There are 20 shillings in a pound, so that's £1 and 12 shillings. Carry that to the pounds column and you get 4 plus 5 is 9, making in total £9, 12 shillings and 9 pence. Now you've worked that out, you need to find it in your coins to make that amount. What is the minimum number of coins and notes you need to pay for this in exact change? The answer is a £5 note, 4 pound notes or coins, 2 crowns, which is 10 shillings total, a half crown, which is 2 shillings 6 pence, and a 3 pence, making 9 pence. 9, 12 and 9. If you found that too easy, here's the same puzzle, but pretend these are the only coins that you have in your pocket. Have fun with that. Perhaps if you grew up with this system, you'd be a bit faster at this, but it's still an awful lot of mental work that everyone had to go through virtually every single day. If you have a British grandparent, go ahead and ask them what it was like. Obviously, this system is ridiculous. It's overly complicated, an unhelpful way of pricing things, and with the advent of computers, it was going to make the digitization of money a lot more difficult. It was time to change. Ideas for decimalising the pound go back as far as 1824, and various attempts at it had been done since then. By the 1860s, most of the world's countries and colonies had switched to decimal currency, but as with all things, we had to do it differently to those smelly Europeans because we're British and we're a special island. So Britain and most of her colonies continued using a currency system from the medieval times
until 1971.
In the 1960s, a parliamentary commission on how to improve and streamline the UK financial system returned with the suggestion of switching to base 10 currency. Ireland did the same because after Irish independence in 1922, they had decided to peg the Irish pound to the British pound for reasons we will discuss another time. Some considered changing the name of the currency entirely to the Britannia or the Royal or the Noble, but it didn't catch on. The initial plan was for there to be 100 pennies in a pound and keeping the shilling so that there would be now 5 shillings in a pound. Then they realised they could just turn the shilling into a 20p coin and delete the shilling from their plans to make it even easier. The new pound would stay equal to £1, a crown would be equal to 25p, a florin would now be worth 10p, the shilling would be worth 5p, 3 and 6p would be withdrawn, they'd be replaced by 1 and 2p coins. And with that, the date was set. On the 15th of February 1971, the UK and Ireland would switch to decimal money, like the rest of the world. Some people resisted. They thought the new system was too complicated and nobody would understand base 10 currency. And I suppose that's true if you struggle to count to 10. Side note, a similar thing is actually happening more recently as the UK has begun to adopt the metric system for driving. Some road signs are now printed in kilometres instead of miles, and some boomers have taken it upon themselves to tape over these new signs because they think the metric system is too difficult to learn. Some things never change. In the months leading up to Decimal Day, both old and new currencies were circulated in parallel, meaning you could solve that problem from earlier using even more types of coins. That must have been a fun year for retail workers. Some of the more silly coins were withdrawn from circulation to make things easier, like the half crown and the old half penny. Shops began to display their prices in the new system. Booklets were sent to every household with information on how to convert to the new money, and there was even a radio jingle to help people remember.
Decimalization, soon it's gonna be time to change the money around, 'cause we've got decimalization, decimalization. There's 100 new pennies now for every pound.
This was until Decimalization Day, or D-Day, when the old money was no longer accepted in shops. You'd expect there to be chaos or old people causing a fuss, but no, it went by without a problem. The only big change since then is that the halfpenny has been withdrawn from circulation in 1984, because inflation was too high for it to be of any use. Curiously, the shilling has apparently beaten inflation, and would have more buying power now than the 5p coin does today. So maybe we need to get rid of some more coins and bring back the shilling? Anyway, that's the end of the story. Aside from Nigeria in 1973, the UK and Ireland were the last countries to make the switch. Most of the UK's former empire had made the switch decades or even centuries ago. Madagascar and Mauritania are the only countries who don't use the base 10 currency. Their currency works in base 5, but inflation is so high that the base 5 coins are never used. Also, some really old UK banks still use computers from the 60s that work out everything in pounds, shilling and pence, so it's nice to know your entire life savings are in safe hands. But if you're ever watching an old British film, or you've ever been transported back to London in 1872, at least now you'll know what the shopkeepers are talking about when they list off all those strange numbers.